I make an exception for Barack Obama. I make an exception for Michelle Obama. The fact that those two have gotten out early the way they have, I believe, will make a massive difference. Barack Obama, the service he is doing by going into Joe Biden, having those direct, those blunt, one-on-one conversations with Joe Biden, that's what a president needs. And a president getting that from another president is so vitally important. Barack Obama going out, being engaged early, because, usually he comes in the last week of a campaign, he'll speak, and you go, where's he been? He's so good. Where's he been? Well, he's here now. I know Michelle Obama's working hard on getting people to get out and register to vote. Man, talk about how critically important that is. And I'm just going to say, not just to get Joe Biden elected president, but to push back against this Orban-style fascism that's taken the form of Donald Trump, that seeks to end Western democracy as we know it, seeks to dismantle NATO, seeks to turn Ukraine, Central and Eastern Europe over to the Russians, seeks to undermine our rule of law. And by doing that, Wall Street, hello, Wall Street, listen, Wall Street, not only undermining democracy, but for those of you who worship money and think you're going to pile it onto Donald Trump because you may get a tax cut, American capitalism itself will be at risk because the rule of law will not be respected. Gene, I turn it over to you.
Well, Joe, people do want to hear from Barack Obama. They want to see him. They want to see Michelle Obama. The Obamas occupy a sort of special niche in this society. They have history. They made history. They have glamour, they have charisma, and they have this ability to communicate with people and to make people want to listen. And I think that's enormously important, and it's going to be fascinating to see what impact they're coming out this early can have. And also Bill Clinton, who is not shabby as a politician. And he was explainer-in-chief, is I think what Obama called him. And he is awfully good at this. So going forward, you can just imagine the sort of connection they will make with voters, not just Democrats, but independents and maybe some Republicans, who knows, going forward if they sort of keep this up. And the other thing that I think is important is something that Chairman Jamie Harrison said, which is the fact that Democrats are opening offices around the country. They're on the ground, and that's going to be so crucial in November because, in the end, it is about getting to people individually, getting into those neighborhoods and getting people out to vote. And if all the people who worry about what 4 more years of Donald Trump would do to this country, and worry deeply about that, and don't want to see it happen. If all those people get out to vote, then this is no contest in November. Then Joe Biden wins, and there will be boots on the ground trying to make sure that happens.
Well, you bring up, again, such a great point, Gene, that they're investing this by setting up offices, getting political boots on the ground, making sure that they have the best grassroots campaign ever. And that going back to Barack Obama, I remember when I first heard he was running, there's no way this guy is going to beat the Clinton machine. They'll just ground him up. That he will get crushed. And then I saw the money. I go, okay, well, that's good. But, and then I saw how he was spending the money early. He was spending it on a ground operation in Iowa. And at that point, Willie, I think it was the middle of the summer of 2007, maybe, I go, okay, this is going to be a fight. And you're seeing Joe Biden do that right now. And also, to Gene's point, he was a better explainer-in-chief than Bill Clinton. What he did in the 2012 convention was awe-inspiring. He knows better than anybody. He's got this Reagan-like quality of boiling things down to their bare essence and explaining it to the American people in a way that they understand.
Yeah, and contrast the ground game you and Gene are talking about here that the Biden campaign has already been working on with what Donald Trump is or is not doing. As Donnie pointed out, he's comfortable. He believes he can win the presidency from Mar-a-Lago, that he can do an occasional rally. Yeah, he's going to go to a couple states here and there, but make speeches, grievance speeches outside of courtrooms and win the presidency that way. But we heard even this week Pete Hoekstra, who's the former congressman in Michigan, who's now the chair of the Michigan Republican Party, recently ascended to that position, saying, hey, guys, are we going to open an office here in Michigan? This is kind of an important state. So you're starting to hear even from some Republicans grumbling that the Trump campaign isn't really a campaign and that they're going to need every vote, of course, in states like that. NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memley, thanks so much for your reporting. As always, we appreciate it.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.